In 1970, Hugh Hefner was caught in a debate with feminists on sexism and the way he was portraying the image of women in his magazine. And although there is good and bad from both sides in this argument, Hugh Hefner made mistakes during the debate that obviously made him lose it. In this video, we won't try to take any stance, but we will see how you can react in this kind of situation if you are speechless against somebody attacking you verbally. This debate is starting with two ladies portraying the feminist movement, and from my perspective, the one on the right is pretty articulate. She seems like a very smart woman, and she has some valid points of views, in my opinion.
In the Western world,
it's a change in education, really. Women are brought up in really hundreds of ways. I mean, from the time they're 2 and 3 years old, to be cute and coquettish and intellectually unserious, to seduce people instead of saying what they want.
However, the one on the left seems a bit more aggressive, and right off the bat she's saying Hugh Hefner is my enemy, and like she's fighting against him. But he didn't say anything yet, so it kind of caught my attention, and I will get back to this later about this specific behavior. I guess he was also really scared for the image of his magazine and all the responsibilities when you have many employees to pay, all of that. What are going to be the repercussions of what he's going to say based on his company's standards, all of that. So he's obviously uncomfortable and is reacting not in the best way, and that is what we are going to break down in this video.
Your magazine has an image of women at an arrested development.
Well, let me respond.
They oppress us as women. They won't let us be. And Hugh Hefner is my enemy. Hefner has built an empire based on oppressing women.
You know, having been described as an oppressor, can I respond just a little bit?
All right.
I'm more in sympathy than perhaps, the girls realize with...
Women.
I'm sorry.
Yes, I'm 35.
Than the ladies realize. I use girls referring to women of all ages.
You should stop.
You want to be called a boy.
Oh, I see. Okay. I always felt it was complimentary, but
Never thought you'd have your mouth washed out for saying girls.
no, that's right.
That's a very important
I'd
phrase.
never thought of girl as being, but I think there's validity to it.
So now we are going to study what did he answer specifically. Obviously the girl, not woman thing was a very awkward mistake, and there was no question this was going to backfire in his head for sure. Despite that, he's going to try to make amends and give some compromise, give some common ground, to agree with them as much as possible, put his image and his magazine in a better light, and we are going to see why he made a mistake here and what else he could have said to better end this situation.
Sorry.
First of all, the girls in the magazine are admittedly young. The average age of our male reader is 26, so there's a certain logic to that. Mm-hmm. But in terms of my attitude on the feminist movement as it exists now, I think that women over generations and centuries have indeed been oppressed. I think there's no question about it. Yeah. It's only a relatively short time that they've had the vote, and a short time before that they were allowed to own property. I think there are still many areas in society in which they do not have equal job opportunity. One of the thrusts of the feminist movement is for better abortion laws. I think Playboy has done as much as any mass media in terms of trying to accomplish exactly that. I think whether you are male or female is the beginning of who you are as a human being. I think it's important, and I think that it is important emotionally as well as physically. I think there are differences, and I think there should continue to be differences. I think what we want to try to do is find roles in society that are not as limiting as they've been in the past. And they have been far more limiting for women than men, admittedly, but very limiting for both in the past. I hope we're going to evolve into a society in which the broadest spectrum of opportunities exist for both men and women.
You make them look like animals, yes. Women aren't bunnies, they're not rabbits, they're human beings.
All right. The Playboy symbol, the rabbit, of course, and the reason for having bunnies in the clubs, the symbol was originally a male figure, and it was picked quite innocently and simply some 16 years ago because we felt it was a rather playful and sexual symbol. The fact that the girls are dressed in costumes is no more complex than that, and the girls obviously don't find it degrading. or we wouldn't have as many working with us.
So if we summarize all the things he said, he was, I think, very uncomfortable. If we summarize, linguistically speaking, all the things he said, I think we can summarize to two main aspects. The first one is, yes, we are over-sexualizing women because it is what our target audience is responding the most to. Arguably, from a marketing and capitalistic perspective, yes, when you want to get your message across, you have to go through the marketing channels. Like here with YouTube, if you just speak about normal topics, it doesn't get any views. But if you speak about outrageous things, it gets a lot of views. That's a problem. So on this perspective, I understand, but we will get back to this later. And the second one was, in all its aspects, I basically, and the magazine and the views of the magazine, support feminism, with for example, with abortion, supporting the abortion rights for women, and I am for the idea that women, like men, just find their own ways without being oppressed or dictated by society. That is basically what he wants to advance here, I guess in an attempt to save the image of his magazine and the overall brand appearance of Playboy. So if we take it from the sleight of mouth perspective, he's going meta frame here. He's getting higher on the frame and explaining that, yes, we are supporting feminism, so even though I use hypersexualized images and models, it doesn't mean I don't support feminism and I am for women's rights and all of that. Technically, going meta frame in this situation is an okay move. In the general debate, or in a situation where you have to control the frame in front of somebody else, it would have been an okay response, usually. It means out-framing the thing that the attacker is trying to get you into and getting into a more general perspective. Normally, that would have been a good move. However, it doesn't work here because of who is the person in front of him specifically. The profile of this lady, from my perspective, having helped tons of people, both men and women, in therapy for more than 10 years, and what she says in the beginning of the video, that she was maybe not raped, but abused by an abusive boss in her last job because she was a woman, which can be understood because many women, specifically at this time, were like abused either verbally or literally physically. Because of that, I think she was herself abused, bullied, or shut down in her job, and seeing a man who is in a position of power over women at work, I think she's much more aggressive against him specifically because he's appealing to her personal story. On the opposite, when she's interacting with the psychiatrist on the left of Hugh Hefner or the interviewer, she's pretty calm and cool. So I think the level of aggressivity she has against him is just appealing to her story, which means she hasn't, if I'm right, I could be wrong, but if I'm right, in any case, she's aggressing him, she's aggressive, she has the behavior of a bully. And this is not something against feminists I'm saying here, because I would say exactly the same thing for any male supremacist trying to shut down women because he's right. I would say the same thing. Having this behavior of bullying somebody, preventing him from speaking because you are right and they have to be wrong, it is just a bully's behavior. And with those kinds of situations, going out framing is a bit early. What you want to do is decrease the level of aggressivity first of the person in front of you, and then eventually you can go into meta frame and expressing the wider worldviews you have. But first of all, decreasing the level of aggressivity. And what I think could have been a great pattern here is what we call the consequence pattern in the sleight of mouth model, where basically the debate here is not even about feminism. Maybe for the lady on the right it is, but for the lady on the left, the one being aggressive with Hugh, I think it is not even about feminism. I think it is purely about sexualization, and sexualization at work, or sexual behaviors at work. I think it is mostly what she is arguing about, even if she doesn't know it herself. It is probably, I could be wrong again, it is probably the real thing we are discussing here, that she's debating here. So in a scenario like this, I would say, and not pretending I would have done better than Hugh Hefner, because those situations are pretty tough when you have a whole audience in front of you. I'm not pretending I would have done any better. But what I think is better from a linguistic perspective is to, first of all, not try in any way to decrease the fact that, yes, it is over-sexualizing women in the magazine on the covers. There is no question about it. It is over-sexualized. Not trying to dismiss that, yes, it is the truth. The point I think would have been going better would have been to say, okay, we are hypersexualizing them because it is what attracts our audience. It is about marketing. In the same way, the marketing for women is sometimes causing a lot of damage because it is portraying 7, 8, 9 layers of makeup and you have to be like this to be attractive, which is not the case at all. But it is putting a lot of blame on women if they don't have the perfect body. It is just marketing, okay? And unfortunately, we can transfer messages without having aggressive marketing like that. But it just doesn't go through as much if we don't put some aggressivity, or not aggressivity, but like, let's say, outrageous ways of presenting information. It just doesn't get through the media. So from this perspective, I think he could have said, yes, we are over-sexualizing them because it is the way we are attracting a wider audience. And once this audience is reading our magazine, you can check in the pages, we are supporting feminism, we are supporting women's rights, which was the case if you go back into the archives of Playboy. There were many articles and people being interviewed that were supporting the feminist movement or women's rights in general, like abortion and many other things, and also other civil rights, not just about women, but about many ethnicities. Whoever was oppressed, it was really giving support to those social rights, social causes. So the idea would have been to say, okay, we are using this type of marketing that you can say is outrageous. Okay, I'm not going to condemn that. However, if you really say it is bad and we shouldn't do that, okay, what are you proposing then? Consequence pattern right here. What are you suggesting? Because the behavior of bullies like that is they just want to break and destroy to equal the level of pain they feel, but they're never really proposing or suggesting anything else other than, oh, just kill them and make them disappear. Yeah, but if you make them disappear, somebody else will just take its place in the same way. A question that I have used in those situations where I have faced bullies like that in my life, women, men, any gender you want, it is not about gender here, it is about the behavior. And those kinds of behaviors, I have always dealt with it personally by saying, okay, now tell me, what are you suggesting? Because you have been yelling at me, you have been saying, I am wrong, I have done everything wrong. Can you just tell me specifically what are you suggesting? And in most cases, they won't even have an answer, or they will have an emotional answer like, you should do this! And okay, let's take this step by step. How can I do this? In the example of Hugh Hefner's company, he was running a company with 50 plus employees at this point, maybe even more. So the idea is, okay, you want me to fire 50 plus employees and removing their salaries and getting them indebted eventually? Obviously, no, you don't want to just break the jobs of many people I give a paycheck to. So you are suggesting I change my message. How specifically? And from there, maybe it wouldn't have been helpful in any way, but at least you are entering the perspective of the other person and you are decreasing the level of aggressivity they have by listening to their proposition, provided they have any. In that case, it is just more likely to lead into a compromise or a solution than just getting too early into wider worldviews. But in a situation like that, where there is a whole audience to convince, it may be better to let the person speak, let her speak and let her express which specific ideas she has, getting way more specific on, okay, what are you suggesting as a consequence to this matter? And then from there evaluating, eventually I can change a few things in my way of doing what I have been doing. But overall, this is the big problem with bullies' behaviors like that. It is that they are just looking for a fight. And if it is not with you, it will be with somebody else. People who have been wounded, which I seriously think she was, people who have been too much wounded and did not heal are just trying to pick the next fight and finding the next opponent. And even if the whole world changes, they will just find another fight. And I would like to end this video with a quote from Ryan Holiday in the book Stillness is the Key, by saying, it occurred to me to put the question directly to myself, suppose that all your objects in life were realized, that all the changes in institutions and opinions which you are looking forward to, like feminism or like social rights or whatever, could be completely affected at this very instant. Would this be a great joy and happiness to you? And an irrepressible self-consciousness distinctly answered no. At this, my heart sank within me. The whole foundation on which my life was constructed fell down. Which means if you are fighting against somebody, just elaborate why. Are you fighting specifically? Is it really to help others, or is it just to try to help yourself in the end?